Hey everyone, it's Horror here and welcome back to the channel. Get cozy because tonight I've got 3 true horror stories from Airbnb stays that turned into nightmares. These stories were sent in by viewers just like you. So turn off the lights, grab your blankets, and get ready to hear about vacations gone terribly wrong. Let's dive in. This story comes from Sarah in Colorado, who booked a cozy cabin in the woods for a secluded getaway. The kind of place where you can disconnect and recharge, surrounded by nature. The first day was perfect. Sunny skies, crisp air. Sarah spent the day hiking and enjoying the peace. By nightfall, she was at ease. She built a fire, curled up with a book, and relaxed. Then she heard a soft scratching sound from the back door. She paused, but it didn't return. Figuring it was an animal, she went back to her book. Minutes later, the scratching returned, now with a low thump. Her heart raced. She cautiously approached the back door, peering through the peephole, but saw nothing. The woods were dark, lit only by moonlight. She told herself it was probably a raccoon, but the scratching continued, more persistent. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. She considered calling the property owner, but her phone was dead. Suddenly the scratching stopped, replaced by eerie silence. Sarah held her breath. Just when she thought it was over, a loud crash came from the living room. She jumped back, seeing a dark figure in the doorway, partially hidden in shadows. Sarah froze, her mind struggling to process. The figure appeared tall and slender. Fear pulsed through her veins. The figure took a step closer and she heard a low growl. She knew she couldn't stay. She grabbed her car keys, her hand trembling. She fumbled with the lock, hearing the figure move closer. Finally, she unlocked the door and scrambled out into the night. Sarah ran towards her car, her lungs burning. She could have sworn she heard heavy breathing behind her. She got the car door open and threw herself inside, slamming the door shut as she heard a loud thud. Sarah sped away down the dirt road, not daring to look back. She drove until she reached the highway. At a well-lit gas station, she pulled over, shaking. She never went back to the cabin. Our next story takes us to New Orleans, a city known for its history, culture, and of course its share of spooky tales. This story comes from Ben, who decided to fully immerse himself in the city's charm by booking a room in a historic French Quarter townhouse. The Airbnb listing boasted antique furniture, ornate details, and a balcony overlooking the bustling streets below. Sounded amazing, right? Ben arrived at the townhouse late in the evening, greeted by the property owner, a friendly woman named Miss Evelyn. She showed him around the house, pointing out the antique armoire in the corner, the clawfoot tub in the bathroom, and the balcony overlooking the street. Everything seemed charming, just as described in the listing. As Miss Evelyn turned to leave, Ben remembered something. "Oh, by the way," he asked, "what's behind this door?" He gestured to a door tucked away at the back of the living room, a door that Miss Evelyn had conveniently avoided mentioning. The door was old and made of dark, heavy wood with a tarnished brass handle and no keyhole. Miss Evelyn hesitated for a moment, her smile faltering slightly. "Oh, that's just a storage closet," she said quickly. "Nothing of interest in there, it's locked up tight." Ben thought it was a little strange that she seemed so eager to brush it off, but he didn't press the issue. He thanked Miss Evelyn and closed the door behind her, eager to explore the city. The first few days of Ben's trip were incredible. He wandered the French Quarter, indulging in beignets and coffee, listening to live jazz and soaking up the unique atmosphere. But as the days passed, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the townhouse. He started noticing strange things, whispers that seemed to come from the walls, objects moving on their own, and an unsettling coldness that seemed to cling to certain areas of the house, especially near the locked door. One evening, while researching local ghost stories at the library, because New Orleans, Ben stumbled upon an old article about the townhouse. The article mentioned that the previous owner, a wealthy merchant, had been rumored to have dabbled in the occult, and had used a hidden room in the house for his secret rituals. The article didn't specify which room, but Ben couldn't help but think of the locked door in his Airbnb. That night, back at the townhouse, Ben found himself drawn to the locked door. He stood in front of it, feeling a strange pull towards it, as if something on the other side was calling to him. He tried the handle again, but it wouldn't budge. He pressed his ear against the cold wood, listening intently, and thought he heard faint whispers coming from the other side. Driven by a mixture of curiosity and growing unease, Ben decided to see if he could find a way to open the door. He searched the townhouse from top to bottom, looking for any sign of a key or a hidden mechanism, but he couldn't find anything. Just when he was about to give up, he noticed a small, loose floorboard near the bookshelf. Prying it up, he discovered a small, tarnished key hidden underneath. His heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation, Ben grabbed the key and rushed back to the locked door. He slid the key into the lock and turned it. The lock clicked open with a heavy thud, and Ben took a deep breath before pushing the door open. This last story comes from Emily, who booked a modern loft in downtown Los Angeles for a week-long work trip. She was excited to explore a new city and was looking forward to some downtime after long days of meetings. The loft was sleek and stylish, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering stunning views of the city skyline. On the first night, as Emily was unpacking, she noticed something strange. The loft had a large, ornate mirror hanging above the fireplace, its silver frame tarnished with age. As she caught her reflection in the mirror, she could have sworn she saw a figure standing behind her, just out of view. She quickly turned around, but there was no one there. Emily brushed it off as a trick of the light, or maybe just her imagination playing tricks on her. But as the week progressed, the strange occurrences continued. She'd hear her name being whispered when no one was around, feel someone's eyes on her even though she was alone, and catch fleeting glimpses of shadows moving in the periphery of her vision. Each time she'd turn around, expecting to find someone there, but there was never anyone. One night, as Emily was working late on a presentation, she felt a cold chill run down her spine. She looked up from her laptop, her gaze drawn to the mirror above the fireplace. To her horror, the reflection staring back at her wasn't her own. The face in the mirror was a grotesque mockery of her own, with sharp, pointed features, glowing red eyes, and a wide, unnerving grin that stretched across its face. Emily gasped, dropping her laptop to the floor in shock and fear. She stumbled back from the mirror, her heart pounding in her chest, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. As she stared at the horrifying reflection, it reached out from the mirror, its long, bony fingers scraping against the glass. Emily screamed, scrambling back from the mirror, her eyes wide with terror. She stumbled and fell, scrambling to get away from the mirror as the horrifying reflection continued to reach out, its grin widening, its glowing red eyes burning into her soul. Terrified and desperate to escape, Emily grabbed her phone and her purse and ran out of the loft, not daring to look back. She sprinted down the hallway of the building, her bare feet slapping against the cold concrete, the image of the horrifying reflection seared into her mind. She didn't stop running until she reached the street, her lungs burning, her entire body trembling with fear. Emily never went back to the loft. She booked a room in a different hotel, spending the rest of her trip trying to convince herself that what she had seen wasn't real. But the memory of that night, the horrifying reflection in the mirror, continued to haunt her long after she returned home. So there you have it. 3 chilling tales of Airbnb stays gone wrong. Thanks for listening. Remember, these stories were shared by real people who experienced these frights. Sleep tight and make sure to double-check your next Airbnb reservation. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows of your home away from home. Until next time, sleep tight, or try to, and I'll catch you in the next video.